So today we have on the podcast Brent Daniels. Brent is a special person to me, and I'm going to tell you why. Brent is the first mentor I ever had, and he taught me such a valuable skill set of cold calling, which has helped me in, more ways than I can think of. But one of the things that I admire about Brent and I love about him is his enthusiasm. This man is a ball of energy. No matter every time I hear him, it's just a ball of energy. And so I wanted to ask you, have you always been like this, or is this something that has come throughout the years?
Yeah, Maritza, thank you. First of all, you're absolutely incredible, and just seeing where you are at now and where you started, and knowing, I mean, early on when we were first introduced to each other, I knew that you're a rock star. You just need to be pointed in the right direction. You take off and
Thank
implement. So
you.
it's absolutely incredible. But this is the best business of all time. And no, the answer, listen, I've always been high energy, just because I have a really loud family. And if you're not loud, nobody knows who
Nobody
you
hears
are or
you.
what you're doing. Yeah, exactly. So I have aunts and uncles and mom and dad that are like quadruple expressive. So that's kind of where it comes from. So I think it's baked into the DNA on some level.
Got it.
But yeah, listen, after 2008, I got completely wiped out in the real estate space. Honestly, it took me a good 4 years to kind of get over that, emotionally, and with my enthusiasm and with my energy and with I think a lot of it comes down to confidence, right? And
Mm-hmm.
certainty that we have in what we're building and what we're doing on a daily basis. And I kind of felt like I was kind of floating in the ocean, and I was just kind of waiting, waiting in the water type of thing. So after I discovered the incredible world of wholesaling real estate and talking to people, which is essentially what you had mentioned before, of cold calling, and got better at communicating and speaking with property owners, I felt bulletproof. And when you feel
Right.
bulletproof, you're like, oh my gosh, okay, no matter what, if I lose everything again, I can take my phone and I can build it all back up if I have the name, address, and phone number of property owners. And it doesn't matter what kind of property you're talking about.
Right.
I can build back up financially, and having those skills just makes me feel awesome. It makes me feel like I get a lot of sleep at night. You know what I mean? I think that's one of the most underrated things as entrepreneurs, is getting a good night's sleep and not worrying and overthinking and processing and doing all these things, but actually being exhausted at the end of the day and being able to have a good night's sleep.
I I love that. And I'm so glad you touched it. It's like you're reading my brain, because I have heard your story, right? And I wanted to go a little bit deeper, or another layer, I guess,
Sure.
because a lot of people right now are afraid of, are we in a recession? Are we not? I'm not an economist, but so a lot of people are afraid in this time right now. And so you that have already gone through this in the
hmm
past, what gives you that confidence that even if I lose it all, I can rebuild it? Because that not a lot of people have that.
Well, first of all, in our world of real estate, what happened before is not going to happen again. So back in the early 2000s, the lending guidelines to be able to get a loan was very, 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 very loose,
Right.
right? You didn't have to show income, you didn't have to show job history, you just had to have a good credit score, and you could get something called a no doc loan, like literally no documentation needed to get 100% loan up to like $1 million for real estate.
Yeah.
And you could do that as many times as you wanted, and it was just absolutely bananas. And they had something called adjustable rate mortgages, and so that really screwed up the industry. One, you were giving loans to people that really shouldn't have those loans, and two, they would adjust. They would start very, very low and then adjust really high. So we're not going to run into that now. Now listen, did the economy squeeze? If the economy is like an accordion and it was going out and out and out and out and out from 2012 to 2022, which is really historically a long time for the economy to grow, it's just squeezing in a little bit, and when it squeezes in, it's going to affect what's going on in the real estate market and the economy in general. So you have to be able to, yeah, you have to be able to adjust what you're doing to make sure that you understand what properties are worth and who's out there still buying. And that's really where deep relationships come in with the people that you're working with, whether you're raising funds, whether you are selling deals to cash buyers and wholesaling those deals, whether you're working with contractors for fixing and flipping those properties. All of those things become really, really, really important when the economy squeezes in a little bit. And by the way, 2019 to 2022 in Phoenix, we went up 44% in value for our properties. 44%. Okay. Now we gave back 15-20% of that, but we're still up over 20% than we were a couple years ago. Like,
Right.
people are crying over it, but it's like, we're still up. Like, buy properties and hold them forever and you're fine.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I have learned from you, a lot of people, you hear a lot of different leaders in the real estate space, and some people are like, I'm going to go and I'm going to get all this debt and this leverage, and nothing wrong with that. That's just one strategy, right?
Yep.
But you have said something, and you mentioned, right? You prefer to buy cash, not worry about the debt. And so take me to what brings you to that belief, why you believe that so strongly, and what people can learn from that.
Yeah, and listen, it's not the best approach. I mean, if you talk to financial planners, if you talk to the most successful real estate billionaires or developers or whatever else, they all leverage other people's money. And I
Right.
totally respect that. And I get that. To me, I went through a time, and maybe I'll shake this off over the next couple years. All right, Maritza, maybe I will. I don't know. But to me, if somebody stops paying on a rental property that I have, I don't worry about it. Not that it even happens, because I have incredible properties in good school districts, which is a very important thing to do. And we could
Right.
touch on that. But if they stop paying, it's not coming out of my pocket to make that mortgage payment.
Right.
And I have seen in my own business of doing over 1,000 wholesale deals, 850 of those deals were from tired landlords. Okay. So these were people.
Wow.
So these are people with stars in their eyes and dreams of owning real estate portfolio, and have had real estate portfolios. And they bought these properties in rough areas. These properties get completely destroyed. They don't have the capital to invest in them. And oftentimes, if you look at that investment that they made, they actually lost money on those properties, because one, yes, it appreciated, but they can't sell it for what it appreciated for because it's not fixed up. They don't want to go and fix up these properties. And let's be real, every 10 years, everything on the inside of houses changes, right? It was all natural stone and you know what I mean, and cherry cabinets and all these stuff and this Tuscan look, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, we need to have like gray floors and white cabinets, and now it's like shifting to more, oh, we're going back to earth tones, we're going back to this, and it's like every 10 years something changes. So if you're not investing into your properties, you're not going to get top dollar for them when you're ready to sell those properties. So if you want to buy properties, buy them for a long term, and you're gonna make a fortune, which is absolutely incredible. But I just want to buy properties in good areas and not think about it. And part of it is also, I don't want 300, 500, $1 million sitting in my account because I'll do something stupid with it. You know what I mean? Like, part of it's a discipline for me. It truly is, right? Truly, it is a discipline to just put that money into something that I know is going to be an asset. It's safe. I don't think about it. And that's just something that I do to safeguard myself. Now I have incredible financial planners that tell me I need to get into other asset classes. But I love real estate, and I love buying it cash, and I love not worrying about it. And I don't want there to be a little tickle in the back of my brain at all times worrying about my rentals.
Yeah, that makes sense. And a lot of people, I think, are stressed, right? If they bought incorrectly or they bought way too high, they can't pay the mortgage, they have bad tenants. It's something that they're concerned about. And so you don't have that concern. Um, that I think it's a really smart approach. But one of the things that you have done and have helped me with is, I mean, you're an incredible book reader. And if I ever ask someone for a book recommendation, it's going to be Brent Daniels,
Sure.
because every time I've asked you for a book, you give me the right book. Like it's like what stage of business or entrepreneurship I'm in that really helps me. And so what's your favorite book and what did you learn from that book?
So The Go-Giver, easy, right? This book really changed everything. I was very selfish as a young man. I was very they say go getter. I had the
Mm-hmm.
listen, batteries come included with me, right? Like you wind me up and I'm going. Like point me in the right direction, I'm going to do it. But it was very like my goals, my goals, my goals, me. And when you really understand that your income is equal to the amount of value you provide, then you start focusing on, oh, okay, how do I actually build a business that provides $1 million worth of value so that I can make $1 million, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or really in business, make $2 million so that I can keep $1 million type of thing, right? So
Right.
that book really, it just gave me a heart for business that I didn't think that you needed. I thought that it had to be kind of aggressive. I thought it had to be very driver. I thought it had to be very I'm hungry, hungry, hungry. And I think that that's a smart thing to do, to be hungry, but be hungry for the service that you provide, not for the things that the money buys you and all these other things. And then the money actually comes a lot faster. So I before reading this book, I had made $250,000 in my business the year that I read this every single week. And by the way, not the whole book. I highlighted the book and just read the highlighted parts every week. I would read that, and I tripled my income. It went up to 750,000 that year, and it was just a really big revolutionary change. But books, right? I mean, you literally get to sit down with a lot of like some of the greatest minds of all time, and they tell you their whole life story and what happened. It's like you sat down with somebody for like a week, and they just have it right there that you could pick up anytime and revisit. Like that's incredible.
But
So yeah,
there's a lot of people that read books though that don't get the results. So
sure,
how do you read it or how do you implement it? What do you do that's
right.
different from all these
Well,
people?
education is not for learning. Education is for action.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So and you have to filter, right? You have to filter everything. I don't care if it's a book, I don't care if it's this podcast, I don't care if it's a YouTube video, I don't care if you go to a conference and you see people on stage. There's three filters that you have to look at it, okay? Is this education, right? They're just kind of telling you the theory of things, how it came about. Is this entertainment, which is most of what we do with our time, is be entertained, right? Or is this instruction? And so I always look for the instruction. What are you telling me here that I can actually implement? You know
Right.
what I mean? And if you focus on the instruction, that's where you can really pull it and start taking massive and perfect action. And then you're growing and building a lot faster than most. And that's because a lot of people love feeling good about being educated or being entertained. I want to be instructed so that I can go out and implement.
Well, and you coach and mentor, I don't know at this point, thousands and thousands of people. I'm not sure how many you've mentored,
Yeah.
but what do you see as a differentiating factor from people that are just want to learn and are actually going to take the action because there's a vast difference between the two.
Yeah, it's the difference between superstars like yourself and other
Thank
people's
you.
that just do a couple deals here or there, or just get stuck and feel really good in education mode. And by the way, we challenge people. Like it's not like we just lead them to water and hope they
Right.
drink. Like we scoop the water up and put it into their face, right? So we really, there's no hiding when it comes to our group. But it what it comes down to really is the difference between wanting it and it must happen. You know what I mean? Like I want $1 million. I want to not have a boss. I want to live a good life, as opposed to I must not be average.
Right.
I must not live the same life that my parents lived, or whatever else. I must not let the life that my parents gave me and they brought me up to this level. I got to take it to the next level. I must do that for my children and for my generation, for my siblings and everything else. You know what I mean? Like there's just,
Right.
you're born with it. I think that there's a pilot light inside of entrepreneurs that's always there. And it's always like, you know what? I just don't think the same way as other people. I can't just be stuck in this wheel, in this game, in the rat race or whatever else you want to call it. I need to do something special. And so whatever it is, whatever outlet that is as an entrepreneur, it's in you. And so I like pouring gasoline on people's pilot light and watching them go. So I think that's really the difference. It's the must versus the want. If you want it, it's great. It's like a dream, right? It's not a goal. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so I think that there's something powerful to be said about being in a position where you must succeed, and you're gonna do everything that you can, and you're gonna go through the tough times. You're gonna go through the rejections. You're gonna go through losing it all. You're gonna go through some of the lowest times and the most challenging times in your life. And most stressful times in your life, but you're going to come out the other side, battle tested and strong, and with a thick skin, and with a kind heart, and with lights in your eyes, and you're just gonna be a different person, and people are going to gravitate towards you as a leader.
I understand that, but also I'm going to quote something that you said on
Yeah.
another podcast. You
Yeah.
said, the biggest failure I had is I signed a 10-year office lease
Yeah.
for a real estate brokerage in 2008 in January. I'm 25 years old with a $742,000 judgment on me, right?
Yep.
So I don't know how old you are now, but going back to 25-year-old Brent,
Yeah.
you're talking to your younger self.
Yeah.
And yes, there is this want to get out of this judgment and this massive, in that point you said failure that you
Yep.
had. What took you from the want to get out of this to I must get out of this? Because that's hard when you're going through it.
Well,
Very
first of all,
difficult.
if I were to go back and talk to my younger self, I'd say have an attorney review everything you sign. And I probably got that advice from older mentors, but just didn't care because my ego was too big and I was running 1,000 miles an hour. And I thought that I was a genius, and that was quickly dissolved. But I had to get out of that job. I mean, you have to do something. You can't own real estate unless you get out of it. So, I mean, it turned into a must right away. It was just being able to understand what I needed to do to be able to afford to pay that off. And I settled it. I didn't pay that full thing off. We settled it, which was fantastic because I did get an attorney and I did get somebody to negotiate that for me. So I've always had the must succeed. I always had that thing. The issue I had, Maritza, is my ego was too big. I got right out of college and right into like one of the greatest real estate markets of all time in 2004. And I thought I was really smart because I had never made a lot of money. I had never had a job. My parents had a deal. You either get a job or you play sports. So I played sports throughout high school, and then I got a scholarship. So I got a scholarship to play sports in college. And so once I got out of college, the first like real opportunity I had was to be a real estate agent, and I made like $120,000, and I was like, I'm the richest dude of all time. And so what happened? No, but the issue that I have is, and this happens all the time with incredible students around the country, is they'll go and they'll close a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 deal, and it breaks your brain. It absolutely breaks your brain when you had like $1,400 in your checking account. Now you have $51,400 in your checking account. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, do I deserve this? Can I do this again? Oh my gosh, I need to invest this immediately. And then all of a sudden that financial thermostat that you have starts getting affected, and you're like, oh, I am way above what I think I should. And you start spending your money on silly things instead of investing because your financial thermostat is set too low. So, it's really important that as you start building a business and being an entrepreneur and being in real estate, that you really start ratcheting up how high that financial thermostat is. And the only way to do that is to be around people doing more than you. The only way. That's why people hire mentors. That's why people join masterminds. That's why people go and connect with other people that are doing incredible things and have a higher net worth and are making more. The only way to ratchet up your financial thermostat is to be around people doing more. Because if you're only around people making less than you, you will always be stuck at a certain level.
It's the quote, right? That you're the sum of
five
the
people.
5 people
Yep.
that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And so that's what you apply to take you from, being into this judgment into now making 6 figures and then 7 figures. And I don't know how much you're making now, but I'm sure you're
Yeah.
making a ton.
Yep.
So how did you
Yeah,
get these friends?
it was getting around friends. Yeah, it truly was. It was just getting in the right rooms and around the right people. But the right people want to be around proactive people. That's it. They want to be around people that are going out there and providing value. They want to be around people that are doing cool things. They want to be around people that aren't like, hey, gimme, 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 gimme. They're like, let me give you, give. If I can give as much to people that are doing more than me, then that's where you start building real relationships and really start understanding what it takes to go to the next level.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Yep.
And I wanted to ask you, what do you think makes the difference between a 6-figure earner and a 7-figure earner? Because you had that point, right, from 750 to
Yeah.
crossing 1 million. So
Yep.
what changed? What had to change?
Friends.
Everything is friends then.
Everything.
Everything is friends.
Everything is your tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe type of thing, right? And it all comes down to that. It all comes down to who you're hanging out with and what are they doing and can you outserve your friends? That's
Is
it.
that like the competition now? Now let me give to you more than and you could ever give to me back.
It's always been that since the beginning of time. It's just been labeled something different. It wore different clothes before. You know what I mean? Like it's not and it's not just like let me overserve you as us buddies. It's let me overserve the marketplace.
Right.
That's the competition. That's how you go do it. You know what I mean? That's how all these big companies get really huge is they provide the most value. Amazon is Amazon because everybody has Amazon on their phone. Everybody has Amazon Prime. Everybody's getting deliveries from Amazon. Amazon bought up all the little companies to be able to build up this thing and serve more and more and more people. So then you've got, Amazon serves more, so they make more. That's all it is. All it is how can you outserve your competition?
And so then
and your friends are your competition in a lot of ways.
They are, but I mean, don't you think, I don't know, this is my thinking. I don't know if you agree with this, but okay. I'm a very competitive person, right? But when I was younger, well, I'm not, but when I was younger, I would always be like competing with like, I need to be number one at whatever this is.
Yes.
So you're comparing yourself.
Yes.
But then there has to be a switch where it's like, I need to compare myself to me a year ago, to me 5 months ago, to me a month ago. Like, what am I doing right differently? Sure. Don't you think that affects really who you're around, I guess?
Well, listen, comparison is the thief of joy, but it's also the seed of greatness.
Oh, I love that.
So, it kind of plays both sides. So it could be a real slippery slope. And I think that the more that the scariest part about comparison, I love that you asked this. The scariest part is when you compare yourself to where you think you should already be. That's when you become, it's not fight or flight, it's freeze. That's when you get frozen. That's when you get stuck in your business, is when you're constantly unhappy about where you're at because you think you should be somewhere else, because you think that it should already happen, but you haven't even put the work in. You're not even that person. You're not even around the people that you need to be around to be that level, right? And so that's when it gets really, really, really tough. I think when you're comparing yourself to what other people are doing out there and it inspires you to go out and serve more. And I truly think that is why we're on this planet, is to serve our fellow human beings. When you go out and it inspires and it gives you that fire to be able to go do that, that's when amazing things happen.
Mm.
So I think that's the slippery slope of it being the thief of joy, but also because you could have the best year ever and you're like, oh, well, at this point, I wrote on my, dream journal that I should have $5 million, in an account, but I only have two. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like I get it, but
So what
enjoy
keeps
the
you in the
process.
present? What keeps you in the present? Because I think that if you are this proactive person, right,
Yes.
which you model and you show, do the work, take the action, stop off of the education. Well, what keeps your head down into
Yeah.
let me do this work and not like envision and say affirmations and all the other like all the future and you understand what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah. Well, you got to break it down, right? Let's say that you have a goal for this year for a certain amount of income. Well, then, okay, how much do you have to make a month? How much do you have to make a week? Right? And then what do you have to do every single day to make sure that you're hitting that? How many leads do you have to have? How much conversions do you have to have? How many, all these other, and so I think it just work. You can only do stuff today. You know
right.
what I mean? So it's the people that live too far in the past and people that live too far in the future that really, it takes them it takes longer to be able to, in my opinion, I don't know, I might be completely wrong, but at least in my perspective, and you asked me my thought on it, I think, what are you doing today to win? Did you win today? That's it. It's like that old Bill Belichick, who's the coach of the Patriots. He has a famous saying of just do your job on this play. That's it. Don't worry
Right.
about the last play. Don't worry about the next play. Don't worry about the game. Don't worry about the clock. Just do your job this play. And I think that if you do that and you know what it's not even how to. I think we all know on some level the how to hit our goals. It's just doing it. So you have to be disciplined to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again and stay focused. My superpower, honestly, is I am super focused. That's it. I don't travel around the country. I don't get into too many crazy things. I don't get into too many crazy projects. I don't own 15 different businesses. I am laser focused. And I think because of that, I'm able to be very profitable and very happy.
And it makes you great at what you do.
Yeah.
Because you start learning even deeper the nuances of like one skill, like and more than everyone can do it, but you really know it like to the T, to the dot, like every little part of it. And so you primarily teach, and I believe you bought Wholesaling Inc. If I
That's right.
that is a boss move, okay? Because I'm like this man went from being okay one of the coaches to I'm
Yeah.
gonna own this thing.
No. A student first.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I
I
didn't know
was a
that.
student of Wholesaling Inc. in 2016. And then 2016, I poured into the community, was telling everybody that you can just pick up the phone and get deals. And I spoke about it in April of 2017. And then the coaching started in September of 2017. And then I bought the company in 2022, last August.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so what have you seen the difference between like owning this business to you also have a wholesaling operation. So
Yep.
what is the different nuances between buying this business, which is massive, and teaching other people to doing just having your own wholesaling operation?
There's an incredible book, Who Not How. Incredible book. And it truly is that. It's the people. It's the I only attract and bring on A talent, and they're absolutely the best. So nothing happens without the incredible people that I get to work with. So that's it. It's just bringing on more people. It's focusing on what I do in the business and letting other people take different parts. You look at a business, you look at every single process that has to happen in that business, and you assign who does what. And then all of a sudden, you've got people that take ownership of those processes, and you're able to just run fast. And so that's the difference. Because before I was just a coach. So the
Right.
way that it worked with a lot of this is Wholesaling Inc. was like NBC, and I was like a show on NBC. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And now
for
I own
sure.
NBC. So it's just it's a different business, and it's an exciting business, and it's a business that I've dreamt about since reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and seeing Robert Kiyosaki on stage when I was a mushy-headed 21-year-old. And I always thought that that was the coolest thing of all time, is to be a successful real estate entrepreneur and then to teach people how to do it. And so I've wanted to do it for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So thank you for letting me know that. My main thing is you were talking about the who, not how, and that you hire A players.
Yep.
How do you know it's an A player, not a B player? Like you specifically, like do they say certain things? Do you know when you bring them on, do they act a certain way? I mean, obviously we can think about the basics, but what brings you what brings them to your attention that you know this person's an A player?
First thing first, absolutely, is conviction. They have to be excited about their role. They have to be pumped. They got to be like, just, oh, I was born. Like, this is absolutely incredible. Experience plays a big factor into it. And then you just have to be wildly positive. You know what I mean? And if you don't have that, you're not going to fit. And some people have it, and they're gone fast. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love it. And so another thing I wanted to talk to you about has to do with a lot of this right now is professional, right? And how to win at the game of business.
Yes.
But how do you win at the game of life? Because you mentioned you're very happy, right?
Yeah.
What do you do, that is different maybe from other entrepreneurs that you know?
Well, if you're married and you have children, even if you don't have children, but especially if you have children, date your spouse. Like, literally, date your spouse. Like it can't just be we're roommates, because it
Right.
just turns into, it's just a nightmare. You got to date them. There's got to be romance. There's got to be connection. There's got to be communication. There's got to be time that you have with that person. And that's number one. I've seen wildly successful people totally like crumble and lose everything because of divorce. So it's like, okay, you say your why is your family and all this other things, and you just lost it. So
Right.
it's not that. It's your ego. It's your pride. It's whatever you think you need to do so that you feel good. So I think one is just making sure that you take care of that, because that one is absolutely key. I think that you need to understand, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, there is no balance. You're not going to be balanced. You can only find harmony. And that's what's really important. If you find harmony in the way that you live your life, because you can't turn it off. It's not something that you turn off. You're always thinking about your business. You're always thinking about what's going on. You're always thinking about the next day and everything like that. But you can find harmony when you can just like block it out and be in the moment with your family. Block it out and not bring the laptop on vacation. You know what I mean? Block it
Right.
out. Not like every time I do it every time. I'm like, I'm going to read this business book when I go on vacation. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to really pour in, and I'm going to just be like dead focused. Never read it. Never. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to, this time I'm just going to be with my wife or with my kids or with my family or whatever else. So I think that that's really important, is not trying to seek that balance, but seek harmony. Because if you fight it, you're going to be disappointed, in my opinion, in my experience. And I think you gotta. I always say three things to living a wonderful life. Number one, keep your house clean. Okay,
Yes.
for
Yes,
real.
I agree.
For real. Like, I am shocked at how many people do not keep their house clean. It is absolutely bananas. And I'm not shitting on anybody. And I don't really mean like your actual house, that for sure. But your brain, your
Right.
this thing, you got to keep it clean, but certainly clean, like keep a clean house. That's like number one. Number two is protect your health. And number three is increase your value to the world, and you'll live a fantastic life. And I think that, if you can just focus on those little things, the other things get easier. And so, yeah, that's what
Well,
I got.
Well, that's amazing. Good advice there. Because like you said, I think it's funny that the three things you mentioned, all of them have to do with who you are.
Yeah.
Because if you're not taking care of yourself, can't really take care of your spouse or your kids or your business,
Yeah.
or the world, right? So you started first with yourself. And the other thing you were talking about to have a happy life was your marriage, right? But what about your kids? Because
Yeah.
you know what, Brent, I've listened to you a lot and I've learned a whole lot from you. And one of the things you have mentioned, and I might butcher this, but you said that your parents would tell you when you were a kid
Yep.
that you're the like greatest Brent in the whole wide world or
That's it.
something.
Yeah.
Don't you think that affects like who you become,
Of
as a
course.
kid?
Yeah.
So how do you implement these things for your kids, right? So they
Well,
can do whatever they want.
yeah. So yeah, I tell Bo, my youngest, who's in kindergarten, I get to walk him to school a lot of the days, and even before he goes to school, kind, confident, and curious, right? And he says kind, confident, and curious, and that's kind of like our little mantra at this point in his life. And I tell him he's the best Bo in the whole wide, and he says in the whole wide world. And it's just yeah. I mean, it just feeds into you. I think as a parent, building confidence in your children is so important, and
Yes.
building independence and trust is so important. But listen, it is a absolute circus in my house. It is absolutely crazy. It is crazy. It is absolutely nuts. I mean, they're high energy, and my 11-year-old Seamus, absolutely incredible. But he is nonverbal. He's on the autism spectrum, and it is very. I mean, it is a lot. He is a lot. He is all over the place. He'll crawl into the attic. We won't know where he is.
Oh,
He'll
wow.
escape the house. We don't know. We got to find him. We got to hunt him down. He doesn't speak, so it's like the most terrifying thing ever. He does a lot of self harm. And so he's got like welts all over his head all the time. So we're really working, and he's been in therapy since he was like 18 months old. Like, we've been going through a lot of things with that.
Right.
That is the most challenging part of my life by far. Business is so much easier compared to that. So much. What I deal with in real life is, I mean, in business life is way easier than having a child that is special needs.
Yeah.
And for anybody that's listening that has, nobody understands what it is unless you're around that and understand it. But you do your best to provide as much as possible and make them as independent as possible, and know that some of these kids grow up with you forever, and they're just with you forever. So you plan for that, and that's a big push for me, because my dream is to have somewhere where he can have some independence, but he's protected. He's got really high trained staff around him, or people that can help him do stuff, and get him a job or do something. Who knows? I don't know. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, I need to build, a really safe place that parents of adult children that are on the autism spectrum can go to, and be safe, and the parents can live their lives too, and these kids can live their lives as well and be safe, and so that's the dream. It's a
That's
big goal,
beautiful.
and so that's what really keeps pushing me from a financial standpoint, for sure.
That's beautiful,
Yeah.
Brent. I think that I was going to ask you about Seamus,
Sure.
because that's not easy. Like, that's not easy to deal with. And as a father and as a man, men tend to keep things to themselves, and
Sure.
they don't. I mean, I'm married, and so I will like tell my husband certain things, but my husband is like a rock, and so I've noticed that men are just they just keep it, they just keep it, and so how do you handle that? Because I mean, it could be a special needs child, or it could be, something else that's horrible, people dealing in their personal life. But how do you personally deal with that?
Yeah, Friday night bourbon.
Yeah, it's like,
If I
every,
if you want me to be honest, that helps out. No,
yeah,
um, Listen,
How do you keep your house clean, Brent?
yeah, keep your house clean. Yeah. No, sometimes it needs to, get a little rowdy. No, you know what? It's I don't know. I've got an incredible wife. I've got an incredible family. I've got a lot of support. My aunt does a great job with the kids. My parents, they'll take the kids one night a week and they'll spend the night there, right? So I can date my wife every Saturday. I mean, that's incredible. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't have that, and I understand how fortunate I am with that. And so, yeah, I talk to my wife. She'll have a glass of wine, and I'll have a nice four roses on a cube, and we'll just debrief for the week, and then hang out and just chat it up. So I don't know. I mean, I think that other people have way harder situations, and I'm just fortunate that I'm in a position to make the income that I do and provide the value that I do to the marketplace, to where I can have the best care for and the best schools for the kids. And for Seamus, he goes to a very specialized school that really helps them, and they're unbelievable. So yeah, it all helps out. It truly is a tribe. It truly is like what do they say? It takes a village to raise a child. Yeah, that's what it is, for
Mm.
sure.
Well, that's beautiful because you have a support system that you can count on, outside of business, outside, and I know that, I don't know if he still is, but I know your father used to be in your business. I don't know if he still is,
Yeah, he's
but
my CFO.
yeah. And I'm like, that's amazing. I told you actually inspired me. I was like, Dad, I know you don't speak English, but you're really good with numbers. So maybe one
Sure.
day.
My
But
mom's my bookkeeper. My dad is my CFO, my best friend that I've had since 12. Works with me in the coaching business. My
that's
college
amazing.
roommates that I played college football with are my disposition manager and acquisition manager on the real estate side. So I'm just absolutely incredibly God, I hate saying blessed, but I just don't know what word, because
Yeah.
hashtag blessed like is just so overused, but like truly, I mean, I just feel extremely fortunate. Yeah,
Well, I think that you don't get the relationships that you have if you don't cultivate them.
sure.
And the fact that you have people that, I mean, you went to college with and you grew up with, and all these different people that you're impacting their lives, at least financially, one way or another. I'm sure in other areas as well. So how have you cultivated these relationships? Because a lot of times people will just, you forget about people from college, you forget about people from high school, or how have you not done that?
Oh, there's certain people, at least in my experience, that you remember the moment you met them. You know what I mean? I mean, you meet thousands of people in your life, but there's just certain people that you meet them, and there's just you just remember them. You just remember the moment you met them, and then you develop a relationship. So I don't know if you can put if you could put into words what that is. I think it's just something that you have to experience. And so I've had that, and we've scattered, and we've done all sorts of things, and then we've all kind of come to this point together. But I had to build a successful business to be able to have roles for people to fit into.
Right.
And then once that happened, there was a place for them, and they're like, all right, let's rock and roll. You know what I mean? And so it's just incredible.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I remember you would say like, I can't remember how you said it, but you would say stuff like, I overpay everyone. Like even my, VAs, I'll like, they'll make like $4, I pay them 8 or 6 or, whatever it is. So, how have you seen that? How have you shown people that you care for them that are under your leadership
Yeah,
outside
and
from just overpaying or, whatever it is, or paying
it's
the right
not it's
amount?
not it's not overpaying. It's not like overpaying them. It's more like um pay them double but work them triple type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're just that talented, and so they have big motors, they have big
Right.
engines. So if they didn't have the capacity, then I'd have to hire more people, and that wouldn't work. But because they're absolute killers out there, they make double what most people do. So yeah, I always find that that's a lot better, and it really keeps the turnover down, and turnovers would really, starts throwing, kind of molasses on your business and slowing everything down. So yeah, they're just, they're worth every penny. I mean, they're equal to the amount of value they provide. Right. So the more that they provide, the more that they get paid. And so I don't, like, if I can make, whatever, 200, 300,000, 400,000 less personally, but it's going to my friends and family. I mean, who cares? You know what I mean? I'm going to be doing this for a while. I've got energy. I'm not, I'm doing pretty well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to keep it all.
Yeah.
Some people feel that way, but some people don't understand that, like, the more you give, the more you get.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. And
And it's,
you're
again,
the
right here.
go-giver. And well, you're a generous person, clearly. And I think that attracts generous people to you,
Sure.
is the truth. But did you just learn this from the go-giver? Is this something that you learned like growing up? Is this something you learned in school? Like, was this modeled for you, or is this something that you kind of a skill you started building, a characteristic, a trait? I don't know.
Listen, I don't know. I think I had an existential crisis like at like 37 years old. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, we're going to die. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's going to die.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what is the point? Like, we can't take money with you, right? All the chips go back into the middle of the table as soon as you are no longer living. And so it's like, I feel so awesome hanging out with my best friends and family and incredible people that we've recruited along the way every single day. That means way more to me than what's in my bank account. Now, obviously, you want to make sure that you're not, going broke, because then the business doesn't work. You would need to be paying yourself a healthy amount so that the business keeps growing and growing and growing. But and the reason I say that, because I don't want people to be like, well, you take money and how do you grow your business if you're not reinvesting in your business? If you take profit home, if you set a minimum standard for the amount of profit you want to take home in your business, it's going to affect your expenses, because it's not income minus expenses is your profit. It's income minus the profit you want to make equals your expenses. So I keep my expenses very low because I'm taking these things home. But I know, just for me personally, I know that if I am not making a certain amount, I'm going to get shiny object syndrome, and I'm going to be unfocused, and I'm going to be looking all over the place. So as soon as I started paying myself more and bringing that profit home and not investing in the business as much, my business exploded. It went like 10 times the amount. And it's absolutely incredible when that happens. And so, yeah, for every entrepreneur, income minus the profit you want to make equals your expenses. You do that and watch your business absolutely grow, because you stay focused and you're not like, oh, the grass is greener over there. Oh, I'm only taking home 5,000 or 7,000 for my business because I'm reinvesting it into the business. If you have a business that is an asset that you're going to sell someday, great, do it. If you have a real estate flipping and wholesaling business, you're not building assets. Nobody's going to buy your business. So, you know what I mean? So take the money home and put it into assets.
100%. And what do you think? Look, we can be controversial here. But what do you think is a healthy percentage that in business could be really, wholesaling is a different animal, but it's business. So what's a healthy percentage that a business owner should be taking home?
As much as possible.
But give me a range. Give me a range, Brent.
Put 90 days. Make sure you have 90 days of operating expenses, marketing expenses, whatever expenses that you have. 90 days, that sits in your account like a rock always. Anything on top of that, you take.
Okay.
Anything on top of that, you take home. Now, obviously, be diligent with if you've got bonuses and this type of thing to make sure that you're keeping that in there for other people. But I'll scrape it on a daily basis. I'll just go boop. Thank you. Done. Boop. Oh, we're over 90 days of expenses. Look at that.
I got paid today.
Bippity boppity boo. Boom. And people are listening to this and they're like, well, you're going to pay taxes on that. Yes. That is the rent that we pay to be entrepreneurs and live in this country. Sorry,
Mhm.
you're going to pay taxes one way or another. Like this
And it's
whole, I don't want to pay myself because I don't want to pay taxes. It's immature. Grow
it's
up.
it's ridiculous
You're going
because
to pay
it's like
taxes.
we have to pay taxes. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's obviously ways with real estate to lower your tax bill or deplete it, but I feel like a lot of people worry about things that they shouldn't worry about. If you would be worried more or more concerned and focused with the profit that you're making
Yep.
than the taxes that you're paying,
Yep.
you would make more profit.
One of my mentors years ago said, your goal should be to pay $1 million in taxes. Last year, I paid $910,000 in taxes, right? I'm almost there.
You're
You
like
know what I mean?
90,000
And it's
more.
like, and people go, oh, you're dumb. You should buy more real estate. Maybe, probably, but then it would be a distraction. Like
Right.
it's not time management. It's not priority management. It's not energy management. It is attention management. Attention management that really affects the health of your business. And if I'm thinking about looking at these deals and all the due diligence and all these things of buying all these properties and raising funds and getting the right loans and doing the inspections and getting the contractors and making sure the tenants are in there, making sure property management's in there, then my business as a coach and for finding deals and selling deals would totally be destroyed. Guaranteed.
Mhm.
Guaranteed. So I just choose, this is the stuff that I really love, and I'm going to put my attention into it. And so I'll pay the taxes. I don't care.
And
Whatever.
you're happy while you're doing
Yeah.
it. So it's
Well, I'm
fine.
not
But
happy paying that much, but yeah.
no, but you're happy that you have a profitable business that even allows you to be able to do that. Because most people can't say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We're not even close. But I think what really pushes you and what keeps you, with this amazing energy and drive is your why.
Yeah.
Because I've heard this many times, right? Tony Robbins is like a big proponent that has always said, it's not the how. I mean, we're talking this how, but like if we talked about the how, everyone would be healthy. They would just be eating. Everybody knows how to be healthy. They just don't want to do it because there's not a strong enough why,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
For the most part, everybody knows not everything about business, but you know enough about business where you could be profitable, but there's not a why.
Yep.
So your why, is it really like when you had your first son that pushed you into, I'm gonna do
No.
this, or is it something else?
I mean, that is, I mean, obviously like the lifestyle is important.
Right.
But I feel, I don't, I don't know. There's kind of, I've been asked this question. I keep adjusting my answer to it because I just can't, it's like something you feel type of thing, it's like the why for me is, I feel like I was really blessed, right? I mean, I was born a white American male, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was into a great family, into a great relationships, into a great community. I grew up. I was able to. I could run. I could jump. I could do all these things like physically. Like I have all the ingredients that a lot of people don't have,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm like, okay, so I've got this potential here. What's the most that I can do with this? How can I go and how can I be a really good energy and really good example and a really good person and still be an entrepreneur and make a bunch of money,
Yeah.
right? And so that's always sitting in my brain. And I don't know. I just feel very fortunate for everything that I have, and I want to see how much I can get out of it. And that probably sounds like the most, I don't know if that makes you sound like a douche or a
No,
super
not at
like,
all.
super, I don't know, conceited or what
Not
is
at
it
all.
called? Whatever. I don't know. But
You sound
that,
grateful, Brent. That's what
that's
you
how I
sound to
feel.
me.
I really do. I really feel that I was blessed with everything right out of the gate, and I screwed up things myself, and I had to dig my way out. And the best foundation to build off of is rock bottom, and I
Yeah.
found it, and I was able to claw back out, and it's been amazing. And now we're here.
Yeah. And no, it doesn't make you sound like that at all. I think it makes you sound grateful, which
Yeah.
most people that have the same thing that you have, right? don't think about it, and don't think about it that way, and um, just kind of waste the potential. And so,
Sure.
all right, so 37, you had a existential crisis.
Yeah.
We're all gonna die.
Yeah.
We think that everybody else dies. We forget that we die as well.
Yeah.
So when you die,
Yeah.
when that day happens, right?
Yeah.
Long time from now, long time.
Yeah.
How do you want to be remembered?
It won't matter. I'll be dead.
Yeah, but like the people that
I,
know you.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I want people to remember me as, if I was in your life was easier. That's it. You know what I mean? Like your life was easier if you're around me. That's it. Just it was easier and whatever else. I see a lot of people are very awkward. A lot of people are very timid. A lot of people don't have that confidence. A lot of people, are kind of just waiting for somebody to come up to them and initiate and let them come out of their shell. And I feel that that's something that I do very well. And
Mhm.
so, being able to let people be themselves and to make things smoother and to make them feel comfortable in environments where they don't naturally feel comfortable, or to express and understand that we're all humans. We're all here to like hang out and serve each other and to have a great time and try to really enjoy the time that we have on this planet. That would be awesome. I just want people's lives to be easier because they know me or they've heard me or they've seen me or whatever else. And that's it.
Well, I'll tell you, Brent, you have made my life easier, because I mean, really, I mean it, because I thought I was going to become just, Vanderbilt rich when, I got into wholesaling. And yes, that is true. But what I learned through your mentorship is cold call.
Yeah.
Learn how to cold call.
Talk to people.
Talk to people. Yeah. But I mean, you don't even realize, Brent, I have cold called people, like because I've cold called people, and I've met very important people, and they'll like invite me to go to a networking event, and they're like, "Oh, how'd you meet Maritza? She called me."
Yeah.
And I'm like, and so when I bring it back, I'm like, this is all because of Brent.
Yeah.
I was like, I could,
Well,
I
listen,
mean,
it's all because of you, but listen, it took me a long time to figure out that if you just talk to enough people, everything opens up. Everything opens up. Like if you're an entrepreneur, I don't care what kind of entrepreneur you are. And there's a great clip that I had on my live show yesterday when it talked about the difference. Steve Jobs was talking about the people that make it and the people that don't. And he said the people that make it are the ones that pick up the phone, right? They make the connections. They're going out there. They're finding the solutions to whatever they're working on. And that's somebody that built Apple. You know what I mean? Like it's not just for like, oh, I'm going to call on an ugly house and get a deal. This is all business. This is all business. Every business person that I know that's wildly successful is on the phone all day long. All day long, they're on the phone. And it's absolutely incredible. And so I think as an entrepreneur, the sooner that you understand that this thing doesn't just have to be the remote for society, and for entertainment, but this could be your portal to be wildly proactive and to get anything that you want financially. Once you figure that out, it's just pressing call and talking to people.
100%. I agree completely, because I've witnessed it in my life. And so thank you for what you have taught me. I mean, but without the application, it really doesn't do anything, right? So
Yep.
apply it. But on that note, how do people get a hold of Brent Daniels
Yes.
and all the amazing things that Brent does on the day to day?
I love it. Um, I put a lot of love and attention into my YouTube channel.
Yep.
So Brent Daniels YouTube, and then if you're interested in wholesaling, I really highly and I invite you to join us in the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. We put out a podcast every single day, and then I've got Instagram, Real Brent Daniels. There are a lot of fake accounts right now with all sorts of different names, which is interesting. But Real Brent Daniels at Instagram, and send me a DM. Love to chat with you.
Amazing. Well, you guys, take him up on his offer. Brent is amazing. I've learned so much from him, and he's not a, what do they call it? I'm not a businessman. I'm a
Businessman.
businessman.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think about Brent.
I love it.
Sometimes he's definitely a business.